I know when you started, your perfectionism was pretty significant. Can you say a little bit about how perfectionism and self-compassion are related to you now?
Yeah, I feel like it's almost like perfectionism is like maybe the thing that comes in front to try and like fend off any self-criticism that I don't know could happen. In a way, it's like, hey, if I go through this perfectly, like I won't have to deal with any negative feelings anyone might have towards me, or like any negative feelings or backlash I might have towards myself. I think I also, before we started talking, I didn't realize that not everyone like thinks that way when they like prepare for a meeting and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, again, like if there's a really stressful event, like a stressful meeting, it's already stress enough that you have that. And then I think I was just adding on a lot of extra thoughts and like kind of like hurdles for myself internally that just like added to the stress and made it a lot worse than it had to be.
It sounds like in the presence of the fear of a mistake, like if you had made a mistake, then you would feel embarrassed. If you felt embarrassed, then you would feel self-critical. If you started criticizing yourself, you would get sad and angry and ruminative and lonely, like that whole spiral that you just described.
Yeah.
So from the beginning, you were trying to prevent the mistake so you wouldn't have
Yeah.
the spiral, which became really perfectionistic behavior.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And now what do you do differently?
I try and attach like a lightness to everything. And I think also just like knowing that you can't really control everything and like things are out of your control makes it a little bit easier.
How did you say that? So like that was so easy also. It's often really challenging to let go of control.
Yeah, it wasn't easy at all, and it still like isn't easy. I feel like even recently I had like an interview and I feel like it was like a month-long process. I feel like I lost my mind a little bit, but it's not always easy still like in the moments, but it's easier I guess to try. And even reflecting back being like, oh, I see like what happened here, or like what I was trying to do and what I was trying to control and stuff.
I can see how you can hold on to hope. So even if you have anxiety sensitivity as a biological factor and you get worried or anxious sometimes, it sounds like you feel hope about your own process, because when you look back on it, you're like, oh, that's where I was stuck.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, sure, like that I will face other stressful events and that I will probably like, I think approach them with perfectionism, but I think I'll have the tools to be more aware of like what's going on, and hopefully just try and be like, hey, maybe it'd be good if I just like went for a run instead of like rereading this document for like the 100th time. Like maybe that would be a better use of my time.
I imagine you now also have your own past experience to draw upon, where a time where rather than over preparing for a meeting, you went for a run and then the meeting turned out okay. Now you can use that to remind yourself that that's a flexible option for you.
Yeah, that's true.
Great. Okay. Are there other things that are coming to mind that have changed for you over time?
I think the biggest thing is like we talked about, just if I can just like figure out in the moment when things are painful to just keep it to that feeling. It's a lot less painful than having also to deal with like the feeling and the self-criticism and trying to control like the outcome and everything like that. So I think that's been like the biggest learning and the biggest practice piece too. And the hardest part still, I think, is identifying the feelings, or like when I might be in like a difficult feeling and knowing what playbook to use.